So our last lesson for this chapter is talking about comparing and ordering rational numbers. So one of the things that we need to think about is just a couple hints for comparing and ordering. So the first thing I want you to do is use common sense. If we're talking about a fraction, you're kind of thinking to yourself, is the number close to 0, 1/2, or 1 whole? And we've kind of talked about estimating with 1/2 and trying to see, is that going to get us closer to 1, or is it going to be less than 1/2 and be closer to 0? On the number line, the farther left a number it is, the smaller it is. So as we go left down the number line, numbers are getting smaller. If two numbers are too close to order using common sense, then my recommendation is to convert them so they are both decimals, or you can convert them so they're both fractions with a common denominator, and then you just have to look at the numerator. So right here it says place the following integers in order from least to greatest, use a number line. So I'm going to go ahead and plot these. 5 is right here, -2 is right here, 3 is right here, and -4 is right here. If we're going least is telling me it's furthest to the left on the number line. So I'm going to have -4, followed by -2, followed by 3, followed by 5. Next one, we have some fractions here. So let's see if we can use some common sense. Something over 8. 4/8 would be 1/2. So this is a little bit bigger than 1/2. So I write down 1/2 plus. 3/7. If this were 3/6, it would be 1/2. But since this is 3/7, that means there's more slices of the pie and I have less slices. So this is going to be a little bit less than 1/2. So I put -1/2 because it's a little bit below. 1/4, this one is going to be closer to 0 because it's only one slice out of a 4-slice pie. And then 8/9, that's 8 slices out of a 9-slice pie. That's almost 1 whole. This lets me go, here's my least. Took care of that one. Now I'm going to deal with the 1/2s. This one is over 1/2 and that one's under. So the under 1/2 would come first, followed by the over 1/2, followed by the fraction that would be closest to 1. Now, if you weren't sure on these, could you go ahead and write them as decimals? Yes, you could, but it's not even necessary if we think about them that way. In this example here, we're writing these from least to greatest. First thing I know, if I'm going least, all my negatives are going to come first. So I can look at them and compare them first. This is really, really close to being 0 because it's 0.1. This one is close to being a -1/2 because half would be 4/8 and this is 5/8. So this is a -1/2 and it's a little bit bigger. This is really close to being -1 because 0.95 is almost 1 whole. So if I'm thinking about this one, think about your number line. Here's 0. Here's -1, -2, and here would be -1/2. So which one's the farthest left? This one, the -1. So the -0.95. Followed by, if I'm moving to the right, the -1/2 one, which would be here, the -5/8. Keep going, followed by the 0, so the -0.175. And now all I have are the two positives. 2/3 is still smaller than 1. Smaller than 1. And 1.7 is almost 2. So if I'm comparing these, which one's smallest? This one, the 2/3 would come first, followed by the 1.7. Flip it over to the next page. Very last notes page for the chapter. Order these numbers from greatest to least. So this one, the square root of 39. This is really, really close to the square root of 36, which would be about 6. 6.9 is about 7. Negative square root of 15, so I see I have 3 negatives to deal with again. So this one, 15 is going to be close to the square root of 16, which is 4. So this is about -4. This is -5, and this one's -4.9. Think about your number line. -5, -4, -3, -2, -1, and 0. Which one's going to be negative first? Well, that would actually be the negative 5. It would be the first one. But this question goes from greatest to least. So we're going to start up at the right side. So which one's the biggest? Pull the negatives out for now. So you have 6, about 7, or 7. 7's actually our largest. So we have about 7 or approximately 6. About 7 would be the next one that we have, followed by the square root of 39, which is about 6. And now we can go to our negatives. So we want to go, which one's the smallest negative? It's the negative square root of 15. It would come up first because it's going to be about negative 4. So we keep going down, we're going to hit this negative 4.9 first. And then finally the negative 5 would be the least number that we have. This next one asks us to plot these on a number line. For this purpose, I'm going to say you're going to probably want to use a decimal just to kind of help yourself out. So negative 6/5 is going to be negative 1.2. 8/3 is going to be about 2.7-ish. 0.14 is good. Negative 4.1. 150 moves back. 1.5. And 1/3 is going to be 0.3 repeating. So negative 1.2 would be negative 1.2. So a little bit after negative 1. So this is going to be negative 6/5. 8/3 is going to be 2.7. Should be over here. So 8/3. 0.14 is just a little bit larger than 0. Negative 4.1 is down here. 1.5. And finally the 0.3 repeating, which would come right in here, which is 1/3. Real quickly, if we're talking about comparing fractions here, there's a quick and easy way. You can actually cross product. 8 times 7 is 56. 10 times 5 is 50. 56 is larger than 50. So 7/10 is greater than 5/8. In this one, 5 times 9 is 45. 10 times 4 is 40. 45 is larger. In this one, these are both negatives. So 5 times 9 is 45. And 10 times 4 is 40. Which one is larger? This one's actually bigger because think on a number line. Negative 45 would be over here, and negative 40 would be down here. So this is actually less than this one. This one's larger. In this case, negative 56 versus a negative 50. Again, this one's smaller, this one's your larger. The other option for you would be to change these into decimals and then go ahead and compare your decimals, but you'll have to round them off to a certain number of places in order to make that work.